We're going to continue now. No surprise that we're going with love facilitators. So things that make us more able to be loving, more able to give and receive. So, joy. So a couple people mentioned that in their new love quotes about, happiness, joy. So when we're in that state, we're more, flowing and free and more able to be giving of the love that we have.
And healthy relationships, when we have the opportunity to experience being in a healthy connection with another, it actually can allow that love to expand and to grow, and for us to have the experience of what it means to have a fluid connection with somebody, whether it's a romantic, friend, family, whatever.
So openness is another facilitator. So when we're closed off, obviously it blocks the possibility. When we're open, we might hear what somebody says with a more generous and loving heart. We might give them the benefit of the doubt, for example. Or we might be open to learning something about a person rather than having a preset mind on another person. So openness will help us be more loving.
Connection and unity. Oftentimes when we're creating, like I do health coaching and I work with alongside of a therapist, we often prescribe connection as a healing force. And as we feel that, for example, in this beautiful community, it can really help to open those channels of love as well, is having a sense that I have a unified purpose or a unified interest with people is also a way to open the flow of love.
Forgiveness. We won't go into great detail, but obviously when we don't forgive, we hold walls and blocks, and it can prevent that loving. Forgiveness could be its own total workshop, multi-day workshop. So we won't do that today, but just Jim will actually take us, I think, into an activity related to that. So we will have a tool to work on forgiveness.
Compassion and self-compassion, just offering ourselves a space of compassionate holding. And then actually the more that we do that with ourselves, of course, that opens up the ability to do that for others. It actually helps us to release a lot of judgment as well. It's almost like, I don't know why this comes to mind, but I'm always saying to people when we're coaching for nutrition, don't, instead of trying to eliminate everything, start first with augmenting the vegetables, and then the other things will be easier to drop. So if we can, instead of trying to eliminate judgment, if we can actually create a space of compassion for ourselves and compassion then for others, it slowly ekes out the judgment, it helps, pushes it away. So it's really a beautiful opportunity to open channels of love.
Curiosity. Curiosity can be a facilitator. So you might imagine curiosity at work in a new relationship. So asking questions, learning more about a person. So getting a new way to connect and appreciating some aspect of that person. Curiosity can also apply in maybe in nature, for example, like exploring. So maybe you're out and exploring, so that curiosity can provide situations where this next topic, where you're feeling connected and part of something, and so as you're learning, you're also feeling connected and then more open to loving and being loving.
And awe. So curiosity can make you open to awe, which is the next word that we were going to use, and wonder. And it just reminds me of stepping out on the deck here near our museum many, many years ago with a friend of mine. We were just going for a walk. We didn't know anything about the moon cycles or what was happening at that point. And we saw the harvest moon rising, or setting. Was it setting? Rising. It was rising over the lake. And it was so huge. I'd never seen anything so much like that. We actually didn't know what it was because it was so big. But that sense of awe, and I've learned to translate that. Really, it's been coming for me in a beautiful way every day, seeing the flowers and the trees and the grass. It's just like there's an awe, or the awe and about the resilience of getting to witness the resilience of so many people. To me, that is an awe-inspiring experience daily.
The next is self-awareness and deep self-listening. And so meditation is a great tool for that. We use breath work. A lot of the people in this training are pretty experienced breath workers. That's a great tool to go inside and understand what we need. And so when we're unaware, we might do that force thing that Jayne was talking about a little bit ago. And it's like, oh, I'm desperate for a couple drops of love, and so I control and force. And really, it doesn't address what our real need is, or what we really want, which is, just an honest connection, just a genuine connection. And so, so having time to go inside and understand what's happening in our bodies, what's happening in our consciousness, so that we can express what we need.
And tied to that is clear communication. So being able to, like Lenny said, is to find ways to identify and ask for our own needs and wants. So some of that is time for self-awareness, like he was saying. It's also knowing we have the right to it. I was raised the youngest of of a family of 5, and I was the only girl. And then I also just kind of more introverted and shy. And so what actually a lot of times I was trained very well to get the wants and needs of others. And I can perceive that like that makes it's a good skill for healing work. But what I didn't know is, when I was working, when I was living in community, and then also later on when I worked with Jim, it was just kind of like this whole thing around, okay, I can express what I want, but like the hard part is I didn't even know at that point anymore what I wanted, because I never felt like I never was given the teaching or the permission in a way to identify that. So part of the hard part was then just really going deep in myself and figuring out, oh, I have permission to want. Now what is it that I do want? And finding practices to kind of discover that more thoroughly. As we are able to know what we want and need, then the healthy communication, the clear communication, what it actually does is helps us to express it to others. And you might say no, but which is okay too. And we become okay with the no's. But it is also about being able to, as we are clear in our communication and about what we want and need, it's easier for that love to flow. There's like an open channel, and I'm clear about what you want. I don't feel like I have to dodge a manipulation or a forcefulness or any of those kinds of things. I actually hear you and can clearly see if it's something in myself that I'm capable of offering to you right now. And so being clear in our communications also involves a lot of authenticity and vulnerability. And so those are actual pathways to love, opening, being authentic and vulnerable, and then being able to clearly communicate what we want and need.
Next area is self-trust. So honoring ourselves, that might be also related to some of this authenticity and vulnerability. In other words, if you trust yourself, you're gonna ask for what you need. You're not going to shut down your own needs, and then therefore you can be able to connect with others. And this is also related to some of that inner guidance. And so those quiet moments of deeper understanding of yourself, so that you can go forward in the world and be that loving presence.
And healthy boundaries. Again, I keep using myself as an example. It's a good learning process, this life. So healthy boundaries are a lovely way to open up channels of love. And it was a huge learning for me. As I said, I was more service oriented and just doing for a lot of others. And sometimes I would forget about myself. So I really had to learn about where my limits were in energy, and then be able to request what I needed in terms of boundaries. So requesting space or saying no was a good practice. Brene Brown says, daring to set boundaries is about having the courage to love ourselves even when we risk disappointing others. Daring to set boundaries is about having the courage to love ourselves even when we risk disappointing others. I also love this. Probably is one that touches me personally. But she's like, I'm not as sweet as I used to be, but I'm far more loving. And so as we set boundaries, we actually open space in ourselves for, reducing exhaustion and being able to regenerate ourselves, to nourish ourselves, for example. And then what that can do is open up much more capacity to feel and experience the love that is being expressed to us, to understand our deservingness for love, our worthiness for love, and then also to have the ability to connect with others in love. And in fact, often as we're clear with people who are close to us around our boundaries, that opens a channel of love for them as well.
So we'd like to do another breakout room in a minute. We're going to do sentence stem completion again. And so we're going to do some similar, about 5 minutes. Statement 1, a love facilitator I acknowledge myself for using is. You could use one of the aspects we talked about a few minutes ago. That's part 1. Part 2, a love facilitator I'd like to employ in the future is.
2 or 3 people want to share what kind of facilitator they came up with, either that they are good at or that they're wanting to explore. That'd be great. We'd love to hear from you.
Yes. My partners asked me after we both had shared a facilitator that we use and a facilitator that I would like to use for. And she asked me if I had considered loving myself.
Mm-hmm.
That's excellent. Thank you.
She's excellent. You said.
Anyone else would like to share?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I can share briefly here. I really enjoyed sharing, but I so related to what you said, Jayne. I was telling him the story. I was at the Art Institute with my husband, and he goes, "What do you want to do next?" And I had no idea, and I just sat down and wept in the Art Institute. Not loud, but it was just like I don't have any idea. And something that helps me with that is just, maybe this is a way I'm facilitating myself, is to go, if I was the only person on the planet and all my people pleasing and all that stuff wasn't up, there was nobody to people please with. And sometimes that assists me, just like, and so I called it, the one you said, more like boundaries, like learning. And I was saying, if I can't say no, then yes means nothing, like it's just yes, 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 yes. And so anyway, but it was survival as a kid, patterns that developed. So anyway, yeah. And I think what would be more so is really with that same thing of like beginning the more love for yourself, like this ongoing deepening of knowing my more authentic self. So, continuing in that. So thank you. I'll pass.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Ala and I came up with the exact same two answers. One of them was natural surroundings, because you immediately feel like you're part of a great big whole, especially if a little squirrel or bird goes by. And the other one was music, because it affects our mood so much and loosens us up.
Perfect. Thank
Thanks,
you.
Jewel.
For me, being kind of the youngest in the group, I think something I've learned already that I'm extremely grateful for is learning just more about what healthy relationships means to me, but also more of what a healthy relationship with myself looks like. And really just staying true to my values. Um, I went, I've had a crazy, crazy life and a crazy blessed life in many ways. And I've done things that, I couldn't imagine that I would have done. And I've done the things in my journals and they've come to life and all this beautiful stuff. But in that playground of the universe, I encountered just a lot of um, people that hadn't really known themselves very well. And I found that I was in a lot of manipulative situations where the love I was giving and the love I was trying to create was just being constantly manipulated for self gain of others. And it created a lot of false delusion relationships that ended up coming with a bunch of betrayal in the end. And that stuck in that something that it wanted me to give more of was forgiveness because I held on to that for a very long time and took it personally. And it kind of just started slowly tearing away at what I really was. So establishing more healthy relationships and also just understanding what that is. And I have a much better understanding of what healthy relationships are now after this kind of these cycles, I guess, of these past relationships that I created that were just based on false foundations. So yeah, that's my 2 cents.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, and I'll just add that one of my goals in our sharing just a minute ago was about increasing vulnerability, and so at times I feel good as one that expresses love and asks for what I need, but at times it's too dangerous, too risky. So that's one I'm still working on, that vulnerability piece. That's like the invitation, as I am vulnerable, for another to meet me at that level of authenticity. So,
Thank you.